everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're really excited. Today we are talking about week 8 of Hallmark movies, which just seems crazy for 2023 Christmas season. We're talking about 2 of the movies, and then we'll have 2 more tomorrow that we'll be recapping. And we're talking about Magic in Mistletoe and Christmas on Cherry Lane. And I am film critic Reese Wagner, and Dory's here.
Hello.
And Jasmine's here.
Hello, everybody.
Yay. Hope you all are doing well. You having good Christmas season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of flying by.
I know.
To be honest,
Week 8.
I know, it's crazy. I also think it's felt weird because Thanksgiving was early this year. So it feels like we've been it feels like we've been in the thick of it for a while now.
That's true.
But it's also going by fast. Yeah. So it's been fun.
Yeah. How have you been doing, Jasmine? You having a good holiday season?
So far, I am literally trying to, I guess, like protect my tree at all costs. Last week, if no one knows, Miko knocked down the tree. So I had a great first, knock down Christmas tree. I've been baking. So I have like literally dough like in the refrigerator about to get pulled out pretty soon. Like I'm making gingerbread cookies, nut cookies. I'm making the Andrea's cookies, like the mint cookies. Also doing peppermint. So I'm in the baking mood. So I'm getting all my Christmas family and friends tends together. I do that every year instead of me buying gifts, trying to find the perfect gift for everybody. My gift to my friends and my family is I bake cookies for you guys, and
love it.
Yum. Send me some.
Hey, let me know. I put it on. I put it on IG. Like if you're not on the list, you better double check with me.
Put me on the list. Absolutely. All right, well, let's dive into these movies. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about Magic in Mistletoe. This is by director Paula Ellie and writer Sky Blair. It stars Paul Campbell and Lindy Greenwood. And the summary is Harrington is the author of a book series, but commercial success has left him a bitter recluse. As he returns to his hometown for an annual Christmas festival, he's joined by April, a publicist for the publishing house he works with. So overall, Dory, what did you think about this one?
I thought it was sweet. I mean, I love Paul Campbell, and even as, a grumpy curmudgeon, he's still charming and sweet. I really liked their banter, the scene at the beginning with talking about his contract and trying to get him back to Mistletoe. I thought that whole exchange was really cute. Yeah, I thought this was sweet overall. I think that a lot of the movies this year, a lot of my favorites this year have felt a lot bigger and more involved, like something like the Santa Summit or Catch Me If You Claus. They have felt very, exciting and different, and this felt like more traditional Hallmark, which I did enjoy. I thought it was a nice change. It felt very gentle and softer, and I could appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say this one did feel like right out of the formula, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, it was enjoyable if predictable, but yeah, sweet. I mean, there were some things that I was like, come on, that we'll talk about, but it was overall a sweet movie. I agree. What do you think, Jasmine? Overall,
like I love having books come to life, but in like a town itself. So this was definitely a different take, which I think, quote me if I'm wrong, have never seen Hallmark turn a author, from a book into their small town coming from that. Because we have seen different author protagonists, if they lost their memory or, they're writing a book, but this is totally something that anybody who loves like, Halloween Town or loves Twilight and go to those towns and go, reenactment situations or go to Salem for like, this is for you in the sense, but it's just Christmas vibes, which I actually loved. Actually,
Yeah.
like I want a T-shirt and a mug. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Fabled Holiday or something ridiculous like that, where it's like an actual like there's actual fantasy. But
Right.
but yeah, it kind of reminded me of, I'm just looking up what is called one with Bethany Joy, called Just My Type,
Oh,
Oh
where
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
yes.
where she's like a writer, and she goes, and the reclusive author Brett Dalton is the
Mm-hmm.
reclusive author. Kind of reminded me a little bit of that one. um and I like Lindy a lot. I think
Me
she's
too.
really
Hmm.
lovely, and I was happy to see her get the lead, because I think she only ever had one other lead, was the Kwanzaa movie.
Mm-hmm. She did
Was
great.
Yes.
yeah, yeah, she was really good. And it they really, I mean, they went for it. This wasn't one of the, because one of the nitpicks I have with any time Hallmark tries to do any kind of Christmas Carolish story, they can't
Mm-hmm.
really make somebody a Scrooge. They
Yeah.
can't, they and so like with the Nashville Christmas Carol one, that literally you have the Cratchit character begging to work for Jesse Schramm.
Right.
Like they
Yes.
can't make her bad at all. And so you're just like,
Right.
what is this redemption? Like there's nothing to redeem. Like she's not a
Right.
bad person. And
True.
and so I thought it was pretty impressive how unlikable they went with him. I mean, if it wasn't Paul Campbell, if we didn't know that he's such a nice guy, he goes pretty far. I mean, like his
Yeah.
tweet about hating Christmas and hating the people, and he doesn't want to spend time with them. And I thought they went about as far as Hallmark could go, I think.
That
Yeah, they're
first 2 minutes,
Yeah.
that first two
yeah.
minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, are we watching Hallmark? Are we watching like, E.T., Access Hollywood? I'm like, I am involved. Like, what's happening?
I liked that. And it also the stakes felt a little higher when you get to the town and you realize, oh wait, their entire economy is like based on this man's books.
Mhm.
And so it kind of gives some further context to how damaging his tweet was, not just to the publishing house, but like to this town
Mhm.
that has really come to rely on those books as a source of their income. Like you get to that inn or whatever, and the woman's like, yeah, we changed the name after to match the name in the book. And after, some tough years, we were suddenly thriving. And so you hear that and you're like, oh, right. It's about more than just him and his feelings about Christmas,
Mhm.
like but then you also kind of see, all right, but that's also a lot of pressure on him, to keep churning out these books. So I agree. Like the conflict felt, he felt very Scroogey.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did. I give him some credit for really going for it. Yeah.
We love you,
Um
Paul, even if you're a Scrooge.
mhm. Yeah, I think that it made me think a little bit of Forks, Washington, after Twilight it came out. I've never been there, but
Me either.
yeah, like a whole economy developed of people going to Forks,
Yep.
Washington, to see the Twilight, where the books were set and where the movies were shot, and all of that. And you got to get all the pictures and stuff. So it would be pretty devastating to that economy if Stephanie Meyer like had like her true scandal,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something.
That
Over
is true.
that.
That is true. Like literally, like me and my best friend were planning on going to St. Helena for October for Halloween Town, because the
Oh
town
yeah.
flies on there. Like you have celebrities that come and visit, like to do panels and stuff, take pictures. Like especially when you do movies in different locations, like,
Hmm.
and you're basing it in that part of like a town, like that does
Yeah.
help the economy and is amazing. Just don't have the backlash, y'all. Learn from this movie.
Yeah. I didn't know you were such a big Halloween Town fan,
Oh
Jasmine.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Like 1 through 3. We the fourth one is there. We just
Oh
don't
yeah.
acknowledge it.
No. Yeah,
We
the fourth
don't
one we don't
acknowledge
acknowledge.
it.
I'm just wondering when we're gonna get Kimberly to be in a Hallmark movie. She was in a mystery one. She was one of the Crossroads mysteries she was in. I would love to see her and her husband in a Hallmark movie. I don't know how that hasn't happened, but
it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Hallmark, if you're listening,
yes.
Call Jamie. I'm not going to call Kimberly. Please call her. She's fantastic, please.
I'm sure that nobody in Hallmark is listening, but I do have this like fantasy of somebody sitting there with their, oh, we got to write that down. Great advice. I wish, but
you never know.
You never know. You never know. It was fun to have Kimberly Sested at the cafe. That was a fun cameo. And
so cute.
It's like, I ride alone. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Lindy there, and she's trying to convince him to come and do the tour, and he's like, Christmas is a scam. And she says, well, if you don't do this, we're going to sue you. And this is sort of my, I guess, nitpick with the movie is that, so then later on, he's like, you lied to me. You said that they were going to sue me and made me do this. I'm like, it's not really
you didn't read your contract.
Thank you. I'm going to say the exact same thing.
Like, yeah.
He was in breach of contract. They could sue him just because that was unlikely that that's what they were going to do. Doesn't make what she said a lie.
Yeah.
And certainly nothing to be like outraged about. Like, you have no integrity. What?
Yeah, definitely an overreaction. I mean, but I feel like if you're someone, because we kind of learn his backstory, if you're someone who's like looking for reasons not to trust people, you're like, there it is. She lied to me about this. But I was also like, you didn't read your contract. Like, if that was me, I would have gone right home and been like, can they actually sue me for this? And read my contract, you know? So I was kind of like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah. And so then we have we find out about that the books saved the town. And he's just really cynical because they like had all these traditions that then were like twisted into the book and part of tourism. They become this lanterns tradition that then was twisted into this touristy thing. And I mean, I can see how that might be a little bit frustrating, but as long as like the tourists are like, you're providing them with joy, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're happy and you're making people happy. I don't think that tourist is a dirty word. It's okay. Like, we all like to travel and go places and participate in cheesy stuff. It's okay.
Well, and the town seems pretty happy about it. Like, their stores are bustling and, it seems like it's been overall a really positive thing for them.
Yeah, like, under a certain lens, he's kind of the bad man of business in this story, like taking away the festival and the traditions and the whatever, even though he's trying to be kind of anti-capitalist.
Yeah, totally.
Like, we get that. And, understand, like, critical view of, being with family, we have that one aspect. And then the other aspect is like, oh, we're making this money, but for the town, yes, it's helping the economy, but at the same time, it's keeping up the town's traditions, what you loved as a kid, what everybody else loved as a kid, and sharing it with the world and putting back into their town. Not everything for free, but we understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. So in the world of fake Hallmark books, Eddie, I forgot to write down the name of the actual book. I forgot to write that down, but the Christmas fairies world. What did you think, Dory, in the world of Hallmark books? Did you think,
love it?
Would you want to read this book?
Yes. Love it. Give it to me. Obsessed. I loved, like, I'm kind of iffy a lot of times about a costume, whatever, party in some of these movies. I was all in on this one. I loved her fairy costume. I think it's so cute. And I mean, I came away from the movie like, man, I wish that was a
that was
real
this.
book. Like, I wish that was a series because I'd be all in.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was really cute. And yeah, when that little girl
Oh
is
my
just there in her little
gosh.
fairy outfit.
So cute. And how
So
he
cute.
based a lot of the characters on his friends. I love that
Yes.
too. So we get to meet them in real life. Like, I loved it. That was honestly
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of this movie
Yeah.
was how the fictional book was incorporated.
Yeah. And I also liked how she was kind of observing him and seeing him kind of start to the Scrooginess getting whittled away. And he's coming around. He's coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then I
also
also
love
like,
that she was a super fan and
yeah.
was like
Yes.
hiding that.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was so, so cute. Like, she's trying to play it cool. She's doing her job. She's in a crisis PR moment. But then you kind of peel back the layers and she's like, no, I'm obsessed with these books.
Yeah. Well, and I also like that they gave her really solid character motivation because she doesn't really even want to be there. So she is
Yes.
sacrificed to do this for him.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to be with her mother. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that kept us, like rooting for her and just
Mm-hmm.
invested in her character because she had sacrificed for this whole thing.
Yeah, and in a lot of these movies, it's the hotshot, professional woman doesn't want to go home for Christmas, hasn't been home
Right.
for Christmas in years. And here she was like, I've been home every year with my mom since my dad passed. Like, we would be snuggling up watching Christmas movies by now. I really did like that touch with her character that she wanted to be home, but he had caused this crisis that she had to deal with.
Yeah. I'm trying to save your writing career.
Yep.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Yeah.
So Jazzman, what did you think about their chemistry?
Their chemistry, it was the banter for me from the beginning up until the end when they start getting closer and like understanding each other, because they didn't understand each other. It was like business for them at first. Like, no, you need to get here, X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't want to having these tantrums. But then as they kept going closer, and closer, like, wow, we are similar in a way. And towards the end, it was just like when he saw her, when she came in with that red dress, it was just like, it was like, yes, you're looking at the queen.
I do kind of wish they'd given them a few more like outright flirty moments. I think that would have helped the chemistry a little bit.
Same.
Like, oh, we almost touched hands. Oh, or like, oh, I fell and I just landed. We're staring at each other's eyes, or you know what I mean? Like, they're cheesy as heck, but like you have enough of those kind of like moments of touch and moments of that. Even when he's being super grumpy, it helps kind of build that chemistry so that it's not just a working relationship.
Right.
And so much of this was a working relationship that if they had ended up not together and this wasn't on the Hallmark Channel, it would have been fine.
Right.
So that would be my only like feedback. I think they could have
done a little more. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I felt as though like they could have played a little bit more on when she fangirled about being like one of his biggest fans. Like, when the first time she read it, like I fell in love with not only the book, but with like how you create this like world and I believed it and like in that sense of like, like that dream, like I see you, like, and like I
Yeah.
understand you, like then I can see that would have helped out. That's just me.
Yeah.
Or even more scenes where they were just bickering, because like that scene in the car when she's driving him to, this event, and she's like had it with him, right? She's like, I'm done. And she goes off. And he loved it. Like you
Yeah.
see him
Yeah.
sitting in the passenger seat and he's just kind of grinning because he likes that she doesn't back down and that she says it like it is and has like confidence, and he loved it. And so even some more cute moments of them bickering like that, or of him just kind of poking at her, because I also feel like you could tell he liked to kind of push her a little and tease her and poke her a little bit. So even if it's not outright flirting, it could have been fun to have those more like a few more of those more bickering moments, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really thought it was funny when they're both in because there were kind of two events. There was the costume party event, and then there was the dance or whatever at the end. And she's in the queen outfit, the fairy outfit, and he's in the Marty, I guess was the name of the character, Marty outfit. And it kind of made me laugh because I'm like, I never realized that my brother and Paul Campbell look so much alike.
Oh,
Because my
wow,
brother has a
really?
long beard, long
Oh
beard.
wow.
My brother is totally a Portland guy. Like he lives in Portland. He's you're sort of what you think of. Yeah, the
jeans,
flannel.
yeah.
My brother basically is Marty.
That's so
Real.
funny.
Yes. And so I was just like, oh, because my brother's also very tall. Paul Campbell's really tall. I think we don't realize how tall he is until
I know.
and
Can we take a minute to appreciate, and we covered this movie on All the Feels. We recorded an episode last night of my podcast, and I just want to bring it up here as well. Can we take a moment for his style? He looked good in this movie. Like the jeans looked good. When he went to that first event and he showed up in that suit, I was like, sir,
yeah.
he was looking great in this movie. The styling was on point for him.
And I appreciate, because this season, I don't know if you all have noticed, the coats situation is getting real lazy. We're having a lot of our leads wearing like thick shirts and not an actual coat. And I can
it's
tell
like, put on a coat. Be serious.
You can always tell the difference. I'm like, I get it. These movies are made in August, but come on. You need to, like in the Dan Jeanette movie, Our Christmas Mural or whatever, most of the time he was wearing just like a shirt. Like out there, I'm like, this is supposed to be in like New Hampshire or something. It's cold. You need a coat. Anyway, I've just noticed that we're getting a little lazy. And so I appreciated the fact that he had a scarf on, he had a coat, he looked like
she had some great coats. Yes.
But can we put a nod to like the fairy? Because I don't know if the writer was rewatching an old 90s flick though, but the dress was giving me Drew Barrymore Ever After vibes, and I was here for it. It was just so magical. I was like, y'all are watching this. And mind you, I guess the book came out in 99 for the magic of this movie book. So I'm like, you had to watch that movie too.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I was impressed too that they, like I said, that they had two whole looks. That they went all out for the fairy look and then for the red dress, which I loved.
Right. It wasn't just the final dress. Like she got two great standout moments. I loved that too.
Yeah.
With a tiara. Yeah. So good.
Yeah. And so we get this whole thing where he says, oh, you lied to me, and the back and forth, and then he makes up, and then she has him she has this like a fun surprise. She has his house decorated for Christmas and a tree set up and everything. She thinks it's going to be like really nice, and then he is not happy. He's not happy about it, and he's like, I don't do trees, and so it's a conflict. And then he's talking to, I think it was the brother or brother-in-law, and he was like, I totally helped her do this. We all thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, his friends were like, blame us as much as her. Like,
Yeah.
we wanted this for you, you know. And his friends probably remember when he loved Christmas and the house was decorated and he still had his parents, so they probably wanted to bring that back to him a little bit. Yeah, but he was not having it.
No.
He was like, this is not okay, get out, you know. He was
I don't do trees.
Yep, I don't do trees.
Just having a little tantrum.
He says, I wasn't here for her at the end, not the way I should have been. And so he felt like everything in his book and all of it, that it caused him to not be there for his mom. And that's why. But then he says, I'm such a jerk. So you're like, okay, we forgive you. And then we get the banquet with the red dress, and they give him the award. And he says, the magic was always here. It took a special woman to help me rediscover the magic because she is magic. And then he sees her from across the room, and he's like, I'm at a loss for words. That was cute.
So sweet.
I almost cried. I was like, yes. Please, I'm gonna recognize.
Yeah, it was cute. And then he apologizes, and then outside there's another like speech, and he gives everybody in the town the new book, and then they light off the lanterns, and we find out that that's why he built that house there, so that he could see the perfect view of the lanterns. So.
I mean, I loved that little moment when they're sitting on the bench and he's never told anybody the secret of the fairy and how he came up with the idea. And I just thought that they were so adorable.
Yeah, the lanterns look like fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Like seriously, like, can this like really be like a 6-book series? Because y'all pitching this in this movie, I want to read it myself. Like,
same.
Now I'm sad.
Yeah,
same.
True. I didn't believe in magic, but you changed my mind.
Oh, look at these quotes. Look at these quotes.
Then we finally get a kiss. This was truly I don't even think there was 30 seconds after the kiss. I mean, it is like done.
It is the end of the movie. It is
credits,
lanterns, please. Kiss, out.
Yeah. So I would probably give this one, I'd give it like 3.5 out of 5 crowns. I'd watch it again. I enjoyed it. It's not like a favorite of the season, but I thought it was cute. What would you give it, Dory?
I would also give it 3.5. I really enjoyed while I was watching it. I can always tell when I'm into a movie because I'm not like thinking about my shopping list and playing with the dog and checking my email or whatever. I was just kind of engaged and engrossed, and I liked it, and it was sweet. Like, this isn't reinventing the wheel. This is nothing crazy, but it was lovely, I thought.
Yeah. What about you, Jasmine? What would you give it out of 5?
I'll actually do a 3.5 as well, almost to a 4, but definitely Hallmark has something there with this type of movie and the direction. Like, if you bring me another one like this and someone gets trapped in it, just like Christina Milian's movie that she had with the snow globe, like, I am down. Yeah. I am down for. I actually love that movie during the holidays, but
I am very hit and miss when it comes to magic stories. Like, I love Christmas Perfection, where's the Irish Christmas Village. That one's absolutely hilarious. But then, like, Fable Holiday took me to a dark place. I hated that movie. That was not for me. So, you know,
I'm just saying
their own.
But I'm just saying, like, if they can do like the Page Magic version in a Christmas Hallmark situation, I'll be down. Someone get trapped in the book, they had to kind of figure out how to get out.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
It can be good. It can be really fun. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Jennifer Snow and her book, A Lot Like Christmas. This Christmas season, in best-selling author Jennifer Snow's steamy rom-com, A Lot Like Christmas, love comes where you least expect it. For Jessica Connolly, there is no better place than her coastal hometown of Blue Moon Bay. She has a wonderful family, supportive best friends, and a successful bakery on Main Street. Unfortunately, every time she designs one of her ex-boyfriend's wedding cakes, she's reminded just how unlucky she is with love, and that she's a good luck charm for men to find their happily ever after with someone else the minute they break up. So she's decided to be done with love. Dr. Mitch Jameson is more comfortable traveling the world with Doctors Without Borders than staying in one place. He just needs to survive the holidays in his small hometown before he can leave again. The beautiful, intriguing bakery owner with an aversion to dating might be just who he needs to occupy his restless heart. From sipping hot chocolates at the local Festival of Lights to early morning dessert deliveries, Jessica and Mitch rediscover the spirit of the holidays. But when the 25 days of Christmas are over, will their romance be over too? Adapted as an UpTV holiday movie, readers can catch a sweeter version by watching Christmas Lucky Charm. And you can purchase A Lot Like Christmas wherever you purchase your holiday reads or by using the affiliate link below. Okay, so let's talk about Christmas on Cherry Lane. And this one is director Gail Harvey, and this is writer Rick Garman, who's a legend. And it has incredible cast: Catherine Bell, Jonathan Bennett, John Brotherton, James Denton, Aaron Cahill, the list goes on. And the summary, over the holidays, three couples at different stages of their lives traverse significant life-turning moments at 7 Cherry Lane. So this is interesting because
short and sweet.
Yeah, really. Because
Sure is.
in novels, in romance novels, they love dual time. Not in stories, in romance novels. It's like a huge thing, but you don't see it very often in Hallmark movies or in TV movies. You don't see the dual time perspective that often. And so I think this was an interesting experiment to try to do, and they had a triple time story. So I'm curious, just overall, and then we'll dive into each one of the individuals. But overall, Dory, what did you think of the movie?
So I thought that it was well written, well acted, well directed. The set design was great. I loved the 3 different kind of decades that this house existed in. The thing with the multiple timelines for me is that it is just not my favorite. I am not someone who has ever had any interest in seeing or watching This Is Us, which is famous for its like multi-timeline story. So I don't think that I loved this as much as some people, purely because the structure and the type of story this was is just not my favorite. But that said, I was still really able to appreciate the chances that were taken with the story and the acting and the writing. So while I had an appreciation for it, I think for me personally, it just isn't my favorite type of story. And I also really, with these movies, want a central romance. Like I want that. And this didn't really have that. So I appreciated this. I thought it was really well made, but it wasn't for me necessarily.
Well, all 3 were all existing couples.
Exactly.
And so
like there was no one falling in love, which is kind of what I want to see.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, Hallmark has done some of these, what I would call gimmick movies, like they did with the Williams sisters, the interconnecting movies, and those were fine, but I felt like the story inside them was a little underwhelming. Inside the gimmick was just like a save the theater, save a party planning, and so sometimes they can lean a little too hard in the gimmick. For the most part, I thought this was pretty successful. I honestly could have probably done without the 1999 one, even though I love Catherine Bell and James Denton.
Yeah.
Because I had no patience for these teenagers, whatever, young adults. I had no
Teens
patience.
are not your fave.
No.
And this the son was
Conrad
on a different planet. Like he was so insane to his
like
mother.
how dare you tell your mother how she should live her life? How would he feel if she was telling him, no, you can't live here, no, you can't get this job, no, you can't do, if she was trying to tell him how, like when he's saying you shouldn't retire, you shouldn't get married, you shouldn't, like if she was giving him that kind of advice and orders in his life, telling who he should date, who he should marry, what he should do for his job, all of that, where he should live, he would be absolutely furious with her. But he feels no problem like making a big stink.
No. If I talk to my mom like that, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. I would never dare.
No, I would have had Dory's obituary by the time everything happened.
100%. You would have been here she lies, like
and if you wonder what happened,
you'd be sharing a favorite memory, like it would be over.
But Jazzman, overall, what do you think of the movie?
I agree with Dory. Like I was literally playing Clue, making matches up during the whole thing. Mind you, Hallmark don't come for me. I never watched This Is Us, but
either. I've never seen an episode.
But it was giving me This Is Us without the crock pot situation.
Yeah,
people kept talking about like this, how I feel. But I'm not gonna lie, I was more entertained with the 2023 and 1973. Like they were giving me comic that I needed, but I just felt like this. I felt like the house was like magic, and no one was talking about the house being magic because all three of you guys lived here. You guys had a connection to this house. Like who created this house for it to be magical? I'm like, okay, first and seven, like does everybody live on the same street? That's what I thought at first. Everyone lived on the same street until like no.
I was almost waiting for Brandy Alexander because she was the only one I think that was in all three from like the very beginning.
Yes.
And I was like, is she going to be like magic?
Right. Right. Like, is she going to wink and be like, and share the story with us? Yeah.
I was rooting for that. I really was.
But out of the three, did you have a favorite, Dory? Of the three stories?
I definitely think that the 2023 timeline was my favorite. I love Jonathan Bennett, and he was so funny with everything that was going wrong in that house. And I did like kind of the how his husband had been a foster child and how then they welcomed a foster child. I thought that was sweet. And I love that kind of it all comes together in the 2023 timeline and you finally see where all the connections were. So I was definitely most engaged with that timeline. Also loved the 1973 timeline because of the Erin Cahill of it all. I love her. And when she was having that baby on that couch and her husband came in and said, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "No, I am not okay. I am having a baby on a couch." Like I laughed so hard. I loved that scene. So
that was really good.
Yeah. So I think those two were my favorite timelines.
Yeah. And do you agree, Jazzman?
I 100% agree. Like literally, like Jonathan was killing all his scenes. Like he kept me laughing every time. Like his kitchen was not done. Like the husband kept like trying to like calm him down by singing, like stop singing. But it was just like hilarious to me. It was just like every time everything gets good, like oh we had a setback, the lights went out. I'm like,
So like when that power went out, I was like, oh no, he's gonna lose it.
He over here like I'm fine. Like no, you're not.
So like not only was the house a connection, there was also the connection with where the cafe. It was an old gas station that had been converted into this cafe that Jonathan Bennett was working at, and so he ends up they're working on the kitchen for his house. and so he has to do most of the cooking. And I did think it was really funny when he's like, if you ever ask me to buy canned cranberry sauce, I want a divorce.
Hey, they taste totally different. Everybody knows it. The canned version versus homemade is totally different.
Totally different.
I mean, I like myself a canned cranberry sauce. I mean, what gets me is, so one time I was at a friend's house for Thanksgiving. I was super grateful that they had me at their house and everything, but they didn't have any cranberry sauce at all. And I was just like, oh, no cranberry. Oh, okay. Okay. But I was just so surprised because my family, we've got like multiple. We've got like cranberry relish and cranberry sauce and cranberry jello. I mean, we got cranberries well represented in our Thanksgiving. I was like, you don't have any?
I love both. I really like both. Like there's a homemade one that I make with orange juice and honey that is so good that I love, but I am not mad at the can. Like give me that canned jelly. I don't care. Yeah. Love it. Love them both.
Yeah. I like the one I prefer the jellied if you're gonna get it from the can, and then you can do the slices.
Slice it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Same.
But yeah, it was a funny, his character was really funny, and you know, getting more and more unglued. It's this guy Quinn.
He made my day. He made my whole movie day. Like, keep adding him more into the movies because like he's a character within himself. Like,
yeah, there was a side of me that was kind of like, I kind of wish that we had just gotten this movie because we don't have that much representation. There's only one LGBTQ forward movie this season, and so I kind of wish it had been its own movie, but
same,
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they have, let me see. Sorry, this is a little bit challenging to talk about because
I know, because it jumps and there are connections and
so then in 1973 we have, not only are they just moving into the house and she's pregnant, very pregnant, but also her whole family is basically like they're it's like the Griswold's house. Everyone's going to their house. They still have things in boxes. Her parents, everybody, she feels like they're all judging them and their house, and his job is kind of in this precarious place because of the oil crisis during the 70s, and there's just a lot of tension because of all this family that's there.
And she's 9 months pregnant, and they are all deciding to have Christmas at her house. It's crazy, and they decide to go caroling. I'm you have 2 9-month pregnant women in your family, and you are making them stand in the cold and go caroling. This is nuts. I was like, this is crazy.
And so then his gas station gets broken into, and did we ever figure out, maybe I missed it, why? Because they didn't steal anything. Why did they break in?
That was super weird. I don't know. Maybe just to beat the cop, and it was kind of for the timeline because the cop met him.
Did you
and then
catch that, Dory? Why
they never really resolved it. What the cop did say was it might have just been an act of vandalism, like someone throwing a rock. And so I think that's kind of where they left it. And I agree with Jazz. Like it was just a device for these two characters to meet, and it wasn't much deeper than that, I don't think.
Yeah. But I did like the conversation between the officer and John Brotherton. Yeah. And then he says, what does it even mean to be a good father? You know, he said, oh, are you a good father? What does that even mean? I don't know. You just try to be as loving and kind as you can, I guess.
It was nice that they had that moment together of like soon to be fathers, and you could kind of see the foundation of their friendship. And I do think a lot of times in media, there's an emphasis on like the mother and becoming a mother, obviously, because she's the one who is birthing the child.
Right.
But I did like that there was a moment for the dads who are also like, this is a huge change for us as well, and how are we supposed to navigate that? So I did think that moment was nice.
Yeah,
definitely agree with that, because even like looking at all the Hallmark movies, like you never had those like those dad moments of like, okay, we're talking about father and son moment, but first time dads, like I like how they're normalizing that. It's okay, guys, to talk about being nervous, being a first time dad. Like,
right.
Yeah,
I felt that bond, especially in the 70s. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then her mother says, your father and I figured out how to be parents. I'm just worried you won't need us anymore. And she's just kind of like, well, we need you way more.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I did really like the moment with her mother when she's fully in labor and she's having that conversation with her mom. I did think that was sweet.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice. And then he gets home and it's like, I have a baby.
Okay, so when he was gone, I was feeling stressed. Like, I thought something was going to happen. I was like, is there going to be a car accident? Is he not going to come back? I was stressed.
I would too. It was going to be that this was going to turn into a movies and mysteries movie.
Yes, because there was a blizzard. I was like, this is a lot. Like, he better get home.
So this was the theory that I had, because when you talking about when he was trying to get home and stuff, I thought that the 1999, the husband who gone, was the 1973 husband, but it wasn't who died. It was I was like,
I thought the same thing too. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my gosh, he dies in a car accident when she's giving birth. Yeah.
Oh, so because did she talk about her dad having died?
Well, no, in 1999 they talked about how like the husband died, why she's gonna marry whatchamacallit.
Well, yeah, but that would have been like 26 years.
Yeah, the timing, listen, the timing was confusing me and not making sense, because I'm sitting there like, how old do I think each of these people are?
Thank you.
Yeah, because how old is Catherine?
Decade.
If Catherine Bell is retiring, then most people, you retired 60, right? As a
60s or like 70s, and I'm like, but she don't look like she's in her 60s or 70s.
Yeah,
so it was the timing was throwing me off, and this is what stresses me out about these movies. And that's when I was like, you know what? They'll tell me at the end.
So Catherine Bell is 55 in real life.
Okay.
So if she was playing 60, that's I'm gonna look up.
See, this is what happens with these movies. Okay, you gotta get out your calculator.
Okay, so in Utah, the average age for a teacher to retire is 65. In Vermont, it's 62, Virginia 65, so right around there. So she might be a little bit early, but nevertheless. So so if she was 60 in 1999, so I guess that could, and she has these teenage 20-somethings children.
Yeah, in 1999.
Then it could, I guess, technically make sense to have a husband that died 26 years before. But I was thinking, because that wouldn't be her father then.
Right. What threw me off was the two kids, because I'm like, she already has two kids who remember their father.
Yeah.
And grew up with their father. So it's like, okay, so this doesn't make sense.
So those kids
dies.
They're in their
those
20s.
Kids were born in like 77, 79, something like that.
No, what happened? No, what happened was that the son that was in 1999, he was born a few months after Ivy was born in 1973. So he had to be born in 74 time.
Okay, so
and
he's a little older than I was thinking.
Yeah, because the sister said that she was moved into the house when she was 3. So the sister had to be born around like 77.
You got it. You got the timeline down.
Like, no, they were like in the 20s when all this was happening. When like
Jazz was over here taking
going-
notes because I am sitting here like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm calculating in my head. I'm doing a little calculation off the.
So the main thing that I took away for the 1999 plot line, besides loving to see Catherine Bell and James Denton together, which of course we love, and they're amazing. More of that, please, Hallmark. But the main thing, obviously, you take away from this plot line is you get to meet Ivy and Hector and them adopting Sam, who then is one of the dads in 2023. And in 2023, Sam talks about how when he was first fostered by this family, they welcomed him with this winter wonderland. And I guess in his story, he was adopted out of the Philippines by a couple, and then both of them ended up passing away. And so then he's in the foster care system. And that's when he met Ivy and Hector. So that was the main thing to take out of 1999.
Right.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
How it connected to 73 was a little bit more dicey. There was the car in all three.
Yes,
the car
and the house.
I remember who car was whose. I'm like, who does this car belong to? I thought it was this person's dad or that. Like, come on, y'all, help me out.
Yeah. And then Brandy Alexander was in all three at various ages. So that was fun to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see what else. Anything else from 99 to talk about? And when they welcome their little girl. And then that finally makes Conrad see the light and realize he's being a jerk. And then our ending scene in 99 is everybody being happy. And I mean, when I look at these kind of gimmick movies, I always kind of ask, if it was just this one story, would I be interested? And that's where a lot of like the Gary Marshall style of rom-coms, like with Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve or whatever, like the stories are so flimsy that you have to have 35 of them in order to make a movie. Whereas like, at least with Love Actually, like a couple of them are kind of, there's enough there with the Liam Neeson and the little boy, or like a couple of them are enough to work on their own. And so in this case, I think that 2023 and 1973 and this cute moment at the end of 1999 is enough to work on its own and to enjoy. Yeah. It's sweet.
Definitely.
Let's see.
Or in a sense of, I would think about this too, like, what if they could have made this as a trilogy in a sense of this house being this magical house, and what's call its character who's in all three of the then it's like she could probably know the history. Maybe her parents probably built the house, but then they moved across the street and built another house.
Yeah.
Like I could see that, and then have that cliffhanger where again they zone back out and go into a different like decade or a different time period, like, oh snaps, and like we're that cliffhanger, like gotta wait till next time. And then
it could have been fun if there was like a time capsule or something like that, because they had the ornament that they had in each one as well. That was fun. It would have been kind of fun if like in restoring the kitchen, if like they had found like a little time capsule or from 1973 or just something like that would be cute. Would have been cute. But one of the things that really made me laugh in 2023 was every time Sam would start singing carols to calm Jonathan Bennett down.
Child. They need more movies together.
Yeah. And then when he's flipping out, he's like, it's like Tiny Tim all over again.
I know. I also like the moments where the carols were not working. And
They
he was
sure
like,
wasn't.
no. He's like, no, Oh Holy Night is not saving this today. I'm losing it.
Because I don't know if you knew, Dory, but I have like a thing about Oh Holy Night in these movies because it's a beautiful song, obviously, but it's an incredibly
got to be able to hit the note.
Yeah, it goes a
Yep.
full octave. It's really hard, and so many
Yeah.
people sing it that shouldn't be singing it. I'm like, can we pick any other song?
I know, you got to be able to hit the note. Like the whole song builds to that note.
Yes.
You got to be able to hit it and just kill it.
I mean,
yeah.
Whitney and Mariah and you know, the divas
Yep.
sometimes struggle with that song. It's a really hard song.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it made me laugh that A Holy Night. And then the girl from 1999 shows up as this famous. She's now the famous singer, and in 1999, she'd done like her first couple gigs.
Yeah, and they had the whole thing where she's talking about how her brother Conrad basically calls her unemployed because all she's doing is singing at different bars and stuff. So then she comes back a pop star with a Christmas album, of course.
Yeah, of course. I also thought it was really a funny line when Jonathan Vince says, "We can't keep a turkey safe. Are we ready for this?"
I know. I did like how that kind of tied together of like, we can't even get our kitchen together. We can't even like plan a dinner. How are we going to help raise a child?
Right.
So I did like when they got to the heart of what the real freak out was about, because like, yes, it was about the kitchen, but it wasn't only about the kitchen.
Because I think about that sometimes, that I'm like, my life is so like challenging and stressful as it is. Like if I had kids, oh my gosh.
I know. Well, and for me and Jazz, it's like we've got these black and white little pets that keep us on our toes, and we're like, I mean, we can barely handle them and their shenanigans.
It's true.
Every other day.
Every other day. Like Jazz
they-
got to keep her cat on a leash. He is so he is
No,
so
he been doing good, y'all. He been doing good. He been on the patio like 3 times on a leash, but I got afraid when he tried to go look over the patio, like he gonna jump. I'm like, if you jump, I'm not jumping over the fence for you.
So yeah, what would you, I guess, how out of 5, what would you give this one? What do you think overall? How would you rate it? What do you think, Dory?
I think I would give this a 3. Like I said, it just wasn't, I thought it was so well made that it deserves a good score, because I do like, and I mean, I am here for Hallmark taking chances like this. I want to see more movies like this. It didn't, in a lot of ways, it didn't work for me personally because of the timeline jumping, but it was still a really well made, well acted, well directed movie with, an interesting story. So yeah, I would still rank it, as a 3, even though it wasn't my fave. I can still appreciate the strengths of it.
What would you give it, Jazzman?
So overall, I would give it, okay, bear with me. I'm gonna give this a 3 as well. But if I were to categorize this by the timelines, yeah, so it would be like 2003 and 1973, they would have got definitely a 4. 1999, you're gonna be like at a 3. Yeah.
I agree with that. I would just say the same. I agree. I think I would go a little higher than you guys. I think I would probably say like a 3.75. I do think I liked it a little bit better actually than the Paul Campbell one, just because that one was a little bit safer. I don't know. I just found this one a little more interesting. But yeah, the 1999, whenever we go there, I was like, oh, why do we have to spend any time with Conrad? It was tough for me. but overall I enjoyed it, and so hopefully you all enjoyed it too, if you're listening, and hopefully we covered it okay. It was challenging to as a podcaster to think, how do I talk about this movie? So I hope you're all
It's
happy
hard to
with
discuss.
it. It is.
It's hard to
tough.
discuss, but I just want to give like kudos to Hallmark for doing
Yeah.
something like this
Mhm.
and doing something different. And I also like that they did something different as far as the promo. Like I didn't know this is what I was in for
Right,
going
that's
into
true.
it.
No,
I
definitely.
was
That's true.
completely shocked.
Yeah.
And I think that that's cool. Like more
Yeah.
of that, please. Like I want
Yes.
to be surprised like that. You
Yeah.
know, even though this didn't necessarily work for me, I can still appreciate
Yeah.
the time and effort and
swing.
care that went into the story and the promo. I thought that that was really cool that none of us
Yeah.
knew. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden after the first act, we're like, wait, what? We're there in 3 different decades. This is wild.
Yeah.
I have to remind
true.
you like a good 3 times, and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, you're telling me we're in 3 different... I thought everybody was on the same street.
Me
I thought
too.
everybody gonna come over to one house.
Yeah.
I kept looking like 7s. I'm like, why are there all these 7s on this one street? Like, what's happening? But that was a great plot twist I was not expecting.
Yeah, it was fun.
And yeah.
I think it's been a pretty safe, pretty bland season for Hallmark, unfortunately, in general. So I do appreciate this this swing. And my 1973 and 2023 worked pretty well for me. So I'm gonna give it 3.75 out of 5 for my score. So we'd love to hear what y'all are thinking, what you think of both these movies in the comment section or on Twitter. And Dory, how can people follow you?
You can follow me at Dory Benford on Twitter or at All the Feels Pod, and listen to All the Feels Pod wherever you get podcasts.
Yeah, should you have your bracket up, your finale episode this week or next week?
Yes, it's this week. We just recorded our bracket finale. No spoilers.
Yeah.
You'll have to listen, but we crowned an ultimate champion. And we also talked about these 2 movies. We talked about Magic in Mistletoe, and we talked about Cherry Lane, which was our final bracket matchup of the season.
Okay.
So we did crown a winner, and yeah.
Cool. Good.
It was a fave. So yeah, there was a definite fave.
Congrats to both of you. I mean, to everybody involved there, that to have the 100th episode.
I know.
That was amazing. Congrats.
Unbelievable for our little seasonal podcast. I mean, the fact that we didn't even realize that it was our 100th episode until 10 minutes into the episode, when Mel just quietly mentions like, hey guys, this is our 100th episode. But yeah,
that was fun. When we first started, you all were the only other podcast that was covering Hallmark content regularly. There was like AfterBuzz did some at the time, and I used to call you all the snarky girls. I was like, oh, the snarky girls are covering this movie.
I mean, and we are still the snarky girls.
Yeah,
like we we have lots of snarky takes. And we don't always agree, and we love to have our little bickering, and but we just love Hallmark, and we love this time of year, and it has been such a joy to be able to talk about these movies and to be in the community. It's just a delight doing that, and our mahogany episodes that I do with Jazz, like that's lovely too.
I just thought about that. Like half of us is here.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Jasmine, how can people follow you?
You can follow me here on Twitter and on Instagram at Shreem16, SHREEM16. That we get to find any updates that we're chatting about. I know we just released another mahogany episode. Check that out as well. Mind you, I like Jordan. We just not just talk to you like less than 40 hours ago.
Literally just recorded together.
Yep. So fun. Well, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews for both of our podcasts. We sure appreciate it.
Yes.
And if you are on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is so much fun, where you get a chance to participate in watch-alongs and Q&As, and including we had Paul Campbell do a watch-along. Super fun. So definitely check that out. And then we have our merch store. We have tons of fun designs. And this year, I kind of worked with our artists to have a Barbie inspiration to our merch. So I think it's cute. So check it out. And thanks so much to both of you. And we wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.